Greetings, everyone. I'm really excited and honored to introduce you to my good friend, Dr. Ed Group, who is just an amazing individual. If you ever meet him in person, he's just this font of wisdom and positive energy, and someone I've been working with actually for quite some time. But this is a special moment because Dr. Group and I have collaborated on a product that, in a previous video I was explaining. I wouldn't have put my name on a product had I not thought that it needed to exist, because Dr. Group and I are not doing things because we just need to have another product out there. It's that we felt that there was something to contribute to this time and that people are really looking for a product like this. So anyway, Dr. Group, I just want to introduce you quickly, and then maybe let our listeners, audience know more about how this product came to be.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm kind of a crazy scientist. We've known each other for a long time, and I was very honored that you would approach me with your idea. And when you came to me and said that you wanted to develop the state-of-the-art, best brain health supplement in the world, focused around a very highly alchemical based, vibration, energetic supplement that was designed to work on the pathways in the brain, more or less around the neurogenesis of the brain, using a concentrated form of the aromatic terperones. That I love a challenge. and,
Yeah.
and in all honesty, in 25 years, you challenged me the most on a product out of anyone. And that's saying a lot. And so wow. I really, during this process, ended up falling in love with this product. I joke around and say this is, maybe one of the most effective and the most advanced products that we've ever developed with your help. And it was just so awesome to be able to partner up on this, and you are the brains behind it. I mean, you are the inspiration behind this product. I had a great time in research and development, trying to piece together everything, and then going back and forth with you, and it just ended up being what I would consider probably the most effective brain health supplement in the world. I haven't found anything that even comes close to it. So using our advanced technologies and everything that we've done and all the research that we did on this, it's absolutely amazing.
Well, I would want to correct you, Dr. Group, that you are the brains behind it, because ultimately, when I came to you with the idea, I was excited. I'm like, let's make an aromatic turmeric-based product, and like let's recruit this ancient alchemical wisdom that you often referenced. And I mean, I'll tell you, in the past couple of years, my exploration of alchemy and quantum mechanics and the way in which these things are piecing together has led me to be probably 10 times more excited now about what you've created. So just for the listeners, realize that Dr. Group is quite the insane genius when it comes to I mean that in a kind of facetious way. You are amazing at getting the mechanics to make the vision possible. So thank you. I just want to say that. And I'm actually enjoying it right now, because it's so soluble and it tastes so great. It's almost like better than wine, right?
It is, without the side effects. I mean,
Side benefits. Yeah,
you get all the benefits from it. And now more than ever, it's just the perfect timing for this to come out, because as we're seeing what's happening in the world today with the contamination and the toxins that people are consuming through the air, the food, the water, you're starting to see more and more an accumulation of excitotoxins in the brain. You're starting to see emotional distress that affects the brain tissue. And what we have is deterioration, a broad spectrum across the populations of the world. And if you look at the cases of dementia, Alzheimer's, memory fog, brain lapse, and all of the attacks that we're having on society, the brain is a very important, organ or system that we need to be to function effectively. I mean, right now you're starting to see, with the fluoride calcifying the pineal gland and the lack of brain activity affect us as a whole. And, with the
Yeah,
masking and everything else and the lack of oxygen to the brain,
yeah.
it's perfect timing because, I tell you that I would say probably at least 80% of the people that we talk to, one of their symptoms that they're suffering from is some form of brain dysfunction.
Mm. Well, I mean, that's one of the really interesting things about what inspired this project is, I had spent about a decade, researching turmeric as well as what 1,800 other substances. And this particular plant blew my mind, Ed, because, we'd indexed 3,000 diseases, and this one pretty much had been studied to address about a third of all human ailments, like a third of all human causes of suffering, according to the allopathic disease models. And I was blown away. So, but there wasn't a product I'd seen thus far that had acknowledged that there are informational bioenergetic aspects to creating a product, as well as the actual biochemistry of let's put the tumerones in. And so when I came to you, you kind of made it all click because you'd already spent so much time in your laboratory, custom creating processes and even some devices just in order to make a product like this exist. So exactly this time, where chronic disease is the ultimate global epidemic, right? It's not invisible particles, it's actual chronic diseases that are preventable and reversible. That's why this product made so much sense to us.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I would, the process that we had to go through, it took over a year, by the way, to get this done. And we had to actually invent different types of processes and procedures. And it all starts with the raw ingredients. And so, first of all, you come up with a formula that you think is going to be the best formula. And then the second phase is going through and getting sources of turmeric from all over the world, testing them all out individually, testing them energetically, because ultimately all we are is nothing more than energy and vibration. So a big part of what makes our product successful is finding the plants and finding the ingredients that are going to transmit that pure, raw vibration and energy into you. And so the beautiful thing about the turmerones is that most plants and most raw materials that you're going to get from suppliers all over the world, as they go through the drying process, you lose those aromatics or you lose those essential oils because they end up oxidizing out. So it was a big challenge to be able to go through, and we spent thousands upon thousands of dollars testing multiple different sources of ingredients. And our facility, in itself was the first facility that was built from the ground up, all using organic materials. We have everybody in good moods that meditate over the herbs. We play different types of scalar frequencies to infuse energy into the herbs. The only facility that I know of in the US that uses all glass vessels for the production of our raw herbal extract technology. So it starts with, sourcing the right materials, testing all those materials, making sure they're at the highest vibrational state, making sure they have all the highest level of the turmerones and the phytonutrients of the plant. We store all those raw materials in cold, climate-controlled storage, which nobody in the industry really does that. And then trying to figure out how can we stabilize, or how can we create the bonds between all of the different ingredients to where it's going to be highly bioavailable, but also very important is to be able to concentrate the ingredients so the therapeutic value is very, very potent. So in the production of this product, that's why we chose the highest grade turmeric extracts. We always look at doing the full spectrum of the plant as much as possible. And so with this product, not only do we have multiple forms of turmeric in there, including a special proprietary blend of turmeric oils and aromatics that we add in there, which I don't know of any other product in the world that has that added in. But we also add synergistic ingredients in there at the same time, like ashwagandha, like ginkgo biloba, like the sea buckthorn that's in there. So you're also getting the great the omegas, omega 3, 6, 7, and 9s that are bonded in there, which are absolutely incredible for brain health in itself. And they actually work as a carrier molecule in conjunction with the certified organic glycerin. So basically, we take all those ingredients and then we invented a new process, which is a cold glycerospheric technology where we can bond and almost encapsulate those aromatics.
Wow.
So even up, we haven't tested it for a while, but in our lab tests, we feel that this product will be stable for 3 years, maybe even longer.
Wow.
And then we also put it in the Myron glass bottles. And the Myron glass bottles have been shown to increase the vibration and the energy of the herbs over a period of time. So basically, it's almost like a fine wine. It gets stronger with age. And then we also put the hydrosols, which are the water-based essential oils, basically, of the rosemary and the sage and the turmeric as well. And then we finish it off with a proprietary blend of the Ormus supercharged minerals. So you're getting,
It's a stack.
an advanced, when we say alchemical, the old school Paracelsus in the 1600s created a process called the spagyric process. And basically it's separating and recombining all the herbs of the plant as if you were to pick the plant fresh from the soil and bringing it back to life. So obviously you have to kill the plant when you harvest it. And his philosophy was, how can we create a process to where we can bring that plant back to life? So this product actually, I feel, will become stronger and more vibrational and more energetic as time goes on.
Well, I mean, it's so fascinating to me because in many ways you're talking about the soul of the plant. And, we're in a time and age where I think quite a few people are starting to realize that, we don't have a soul, but we are a soul, we have a body. And that can apply as well to some of these ancient techniques for honoring, respecting what these plants really are. As you said, quantum level, we are all energy, right? And vibration, we're not a bunch of atoms, right? So ultimately, this is actually just very literally true. What I feel you've done in this product is you've helped capture the spirit and energy of this plant in a very respectful, loving way. And when you talk about, the people in your plant have good moods, you have good music, you're only using glass. I mean, this harkens back to pre-Anthropocene, pre-plastic era of the planet. Like no one does this, Ed. And every time I think about a liquid that I'm putting in my body touching plastic, I get like creeped out by it. So you've gone to such lengths here that I just want to thank you and honor you for the fact that you have done that, man. It's been amazing because, it's like people that know your story about how, you're doing this really for the love of health and wellness and your mission. It's in the product itself, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, my goal is to help as many, just like you. Our goal is to help as many people as we can. And I've seen the dietary supplement and the nutraceutical industry not really improve over the last 20 years. As a matter of fact, what's happened is about 95% of the nutraceutical companies right now and the contract manufacturers are owned by big pharma, or they're owned by private equity firms or VC firms. And it's really created a lot of damage in our industry because they have, when you have investors come in, they have an exit strategy in 3 to 5 years. They want to get out. So they end up cutting, using the cheapest materials they can find. They use the cheapest plastic they can find. And that's just exactly the opposite of what we're about. We're about family owned, but we're about customer based. Like the customer is our boss. And it's about community, and it's about helping each other out, and it's about growing and healing and repairing the body. And, we were the first ones in the world since that I know of, since Paracelsus, that not only, which he said, we need to use triple distilled water for extraction purposes to capture the soul, because triple distilled water, when you triple distill it or 6 distill it, or even more than that, it has the ability to capture the quantum energy fields of the plant It's almost like
Yeah.
the energy that exists without the plant. For example, like, people that get their leg cut off and they can still feel their toes, right? So the energy and the vibration is still there. The same thing happens with a plant. You can cut it, but if you do curly, and sometimes you can even see where the leaves were,
Yeah.
plant, even though it's not there. So you still have that energetic signature and that vibration. And so with the triple distilled water, you're able to capture some of that, those quantum fields. And we use a triple distilled structured biophotonic water, which nobody in the industry uses. And I say it's triple distilled, but in reality, it's actually 18x distilled water that we use. And so if you were to, when you come to our facility and you see, we have a whole room which is just dedicated with these huge distillers that we use for the base mixture of the water and the glycerin. So that's another really good way to capture those essences and to capture those compounds and those frequencies that are in the product that are going to be transferred into you whenever you take it.
What I love about this is that we're talking about ancient alchemical technologies and methods, but that have been brought into our present timeline. And now we're using the best that the modern technology has to even amplify some of that, because I imagine back then they couldn't do a 16x biophotonic distilled water in this situation, nor did they have Carillion photography. Yes, they had other amazing technologies that didn't require external instrumentation, but the reality is that this feels like a product whose time has come, right? It's like ancient and future and the present all coming together. And that's what's exciting about it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, what's like going back to what's happening in our industry. And I say this because it really, it kind of makes me sad a little bit. I'll just tell a quick story. We were going through the NSF certification about 2 years ago. And, when you, for big chains and when you're doing and selling products overseas and stuff like that, a lot of people say, well, are you NSF certified? So that was one of the things that we wanted to do. We wanted to get TGA certified, which is the highest certification in the world from Australia. I think there's only 2 contract manufacturers in the United States that are TGA certified. However, one of the steps is to get NSF certification before you move into that. And so we passed with flying colors, obviously, but there was 2 requests. They sat us down and they said, you passed with flying colors, we'll give you the NSF certification. However, there are 2 things that you don't have that are required for NSF certification. One is you're not sterilizing your raw materials before they come into your quarantine.
Wow.
And we were like, I was in shock. I was like, what do you mean sterilizing? And they were like, well, it's not a requirement, but all the facilities that we certify, they have sterilization methods in place that they sterilize the raw materials before they come out of the quarantine, because your materials come in, you have to test everything, and then you make sure that they're not contaminated. Then you can move them out of quarantine into your warehouse or whatever.
Yeah.
So I said, well, that's ridiculous. Why would somebody sterilize their materials? And they use radiation or they use steam sterilization, high heat. That you're just killing off all the life force in there. I said, there's no way we're going to do that. We want our products as raw as possible, even if there's dirt still on them.
Yeah.
We don't mind a total plate count, a high total plate count, because those are soil-based microorganisms. So obviously, we don't want any coliform, or we don't want any, E. coli or any of the harmful organisms on there. But we don't mind if there's still some soil-based microbes on there.
That's the microbiome of the earth. Exactly.
Exactly. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, well, we can let you slide on that. However, it is 100% a requirement for you to put a metal detection system on the end of your finished goods line. And so I was like, okay, well, metal detection system, why do we need to do that? Well, they said, because, in manufacturing, sometimes there can be chips of metal or something that might get in the product, which was complete BS. And I said, okay, let's, what are the metal detection systems? What do they do? And so there's 2 types of metal detection systems that all contract manufacturers and all product manufacturers use. One of them is standard X-ray, and the other one is like a body scanner, like a TSA body scanner,
Like
which
micro millimeter wave. That's what.
with millimeter waves, which basically just completely destroy the life force of the energy in your products at the finished goods line. And I said, there is no way that we are going to destroy and ruin our products by putting a metal detection system, an X-ray or a millimeter wave system at the end of our finished goods line. So basically, I kicked them out after spending $100,000 to go through NSF certification. We basically said there's no way we're doing it. So
Okay.
another good thing that people need to know when they're choosing products, make sure that you know the company.
Yeah.
Make sure you call, make sure you ask them if they're using metal detection systems on the end of finished goods lines.
Well, let me add to this because I have my own personal history with the National Health Federation, being the former vice chairman, is that there's something called the Codex Alimentarius, right? The World Trade Organization has been trying for decades to basically define nutrients as if they're toxic substances, and then chemicals and pharmaceuticals as necessary in order. Some have maybe used a bit of hyperbole on this and calling it nutricide, basically making it impossible for us to maintain health and well-being on our planets, right? And we know about the agendas in terms of vaccines and pharmaceuticals, but ultimately, what you're talking about is this centralization of power that's happened in the private sector. I remember when nutraceutical used to go to trade shows and buy up little companies, right? Is that there is this aspect to what's happening that is attempting to create a stranglehold on the actual authentic people plugged into the earth, doing it the right way. So I also feel so good about this product because I know that by people buying it, they're actually putting their dollar, where their mouth is, where their fork is. We are actually sustaining this alternative economy, which is essential for them not to ultimately regulate you out of existence with these ridiculous requirements that require you poison or devitalize the ingredients so that people can't get the health benefit. So again, people, it's not just about ourselves, it's also about the entire vertical stack of how it's being done, and then us also supporting businesses that are going to create the foundation for the future of our health on this planet.
Well said. Just look at the people behind the company and are they out there being outspoken? I mean, for me, it's, global healing has been about education first. And just like you with Green Med Info, it's like we've been dedicating our lives to going out and teaching people to become their own doctors, how to heal themselves, teaching people that the strongest medicine they have is their own body's self-healing mechanism. Teaching them about, the root cause of why they're sick, the root cause of disease, and then helping them through that process of detoxification and cleansing and knowing the things that are causing their brain issues to begin with, and then giving them the solutions to help cleanse their brain or help support their brain or help, regrow their neurological system in their brain or whatever products that we're working with. So it's important to give back. I mean, it's important to be an activist, and it's important to go against the system and to educate people and to bring awareness to people about all the things that are currently going on. And there's no more satisfying, that just makes you feel great when you help people and when you see people change and when you see people get results. And it's all about producing products that give people the results that they need and that they want. But at the same time, there's a big educational component. And that's why it's so awesome to be able to work with you, because we've been doing the same thing for a long period of time, and we're still around and we're still doing the same thing. And you've seen other companies go, build up and then go away. And then, there's a reputation also in the industry, and it's really a small world if you think about it in our industry.
Yeah, it is.
With the same people from 20 years ago still out there talking and still spreading the truth and getting, the FDA, harassed by the FDA and harassed by the medical boards and harassed by the chiropractic boards and everything else, but just staying strong because your desire is to help people, and that's what brings satisfaction to you.
Well said, brother. another thing too is like for those who might not be as inspired by the concept that together we're going to save the world, by supporting these sorts of businesses, is that the reality is that there are very few products that I could think of that have this very special quality, which is that I believe that our bodies evolved over a very long time dependent on certain foods and or compounds in order to be healthy. And so when you take fruits and vegetables out of the modern diet, what happens? You end up with all these chronic diseases. You can't say that cancer is caused from a lack of chemotherapy and radiation, right? You just can't say that. It's not true. But you can say that about fruits and vegetables being taken out of the diet. Now, as I plumbed the depths of the topic in my book, Regenerate, what I uncovered was that all this research exists showing that very ancient foods that have been part of our diet and herbs like this, right, with curcumin, and you've got catechin and green tea, resveratrol and grapes, these polyphenol compounds are actually informational, and they act to basically stimulate a epigenetic response in the body and the genes such that longevity, resilience, all these amazing effects you see from things like caloric restriction are reproduced. So ultimately, this product to me is an example of something that we can bathe our body in this like nutrigenomic wave every day, reminding it through the software that's contained actually literally in the microRNAs, energetic signatures, informational waves present in it, the state of health, right? It's like a blueprint, it's like a hologram. But if you don't have that in your diet anymore, these ancient plant allies that have been around for so long, then it's just not going to be available to your body. So I do think that for those who are listening, it is important to realize that this product is not just about, creating a better industry to support health and wellness, but it's actually also selfishly one of the best things that you could do to ensure longevity, well-being, happiness. Like, to me, that's what this herb represents.
Yeah, totally. And if you look at especially the children and what's been going on with the children, I say children, let's say from age 3 to up until 18, and you look at the amount of mental stress that they've been under, and the medications and the diagnosis of ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety. To me, in my studies, I've found that a good percentage of these emotional disorders are because of the chemicals and excitotoxins and neurotoxins, MSG, food dyes, metals, aluminum, mercury, all these things that are going up into the brain tissue and basically burning the nerves. Same thing with the gut. The gut and the brain are very highly connected. I mean, some people even say that the gut is the brain of the body, especially with the appendix being the microcomputer station in the body, relaying all the messages back and forth. But there has been a big attack on the brains of these young adults, especially over in the last 10, 15 years, when you add in all the shots that these kids are getting and the exposure to the atrazine and the glyphosate, and especially, which is not talked about too often, is the bromide toxicity in the brain. And a lot of people talk about fluoride, but Dr. Brownstein and myself have done a lot of research on the pineal and the toxic effects of bromide or brominated compounds, and we both feel it's even worse than fluoride. And so I feel that this product is not only a product to enhance your memory and potentially detoxify a lot of these things from the brain tissue, but also to help balance out your emotional state. But no one has ever done a product like this in the history of the world that I've ever seen. And that was part of our R&D process. So it's going to be very interesting to see the effects of all of these, highly vibrational compounds mixed together. For example, we have ashwagandha in there, we have KSM 66. And so this should not only help with the detoxification of the brain, not only help with the neurogenesis of the nerves, which very similar to what happens in the gut when you end up burning the nerves out with all the alcohol and all of the toxic compounds that people are eating, which still to this day is extremely difficult to repair once those nerves are completely burned out in the gut. But with this formula, I'm really looking forward to start seeing results from potentially dementia, Alzheimer's, ADD, ADHD, and this is incredibly good for children. If your kids are in school, if they're having focus problems, if they're just not able to concentrate as much, if they're not able to remember things as much for school. I mean, I would even say, using this while you're studying, if you're a university student, using this as a study aid if you're in, any type of school. Actually, what I would recommend is getting your kids out of school and homeschooling them. That would be my number one recommendation, because that is a poison to the brain, actually. The schooling system that we have today is there's no doubt it's a poison to the brain and to the body and to the learning system of these young kids. So, to be able to stimulate and repair and regenerate the brain, but to have the brain working and firing on all cylinders, that's where you get the inspirations coming through. You communicate better. You become a better meditator. You become being able to be more mindful. That's mindfulness it's all the brain, really, because think about how many times, and this happens to me still, and I work on meditation and mindfulness all the time. But for example, a couple weeks ago, let's say I'm picking my kids up from music class or whatever. They're really excited. They learned a new song. Here I am coming to pick them up. I'm rushing. I'm coming from the office. I got a million things going on. I got a million, situations I'm trying to deal with. And, they're sitting there, dad, and they're sitting there talking to me for 10 minutes. And I get home and they're like, well, what do you think about that song? I did not hear one word they said.
Yeah.
10 minutes they were talking to me and I didn't hear a word that they said. And that's because I wasn't being mindful. I wasn't being in the present moment and actually paying attention and listening to them. So, there's so many benefits of being able to have your brain and your mind in a focused state and in a healthy state.
Yeah.
So, in a certain way, you could say that this product could change the world and the way that we think and the way that we operate and the way that we communicate and the way that we learn. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to start getting, which we will very soon. The product just launched, but a lot of, results coming in from people all over the world on how this is helping them, form and change their lives. And I even think that we're going to see a lot of people that are suffering from mental illness, if you want to call it, that way, whether it's PTSD, whether it's depression, anxiety, any of those labeled conditions. I feel that this product will really help transform people with dealing with a multitude of anything from the head up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the side benefits of these compounds are pretty unique in terms of what the research shows. So I'm excited about the formula just intrinsically. One of the things I did want you to comment on is the presence of what are known as orbitally rearranged molecules, or ORMUS, and also known as monatomic elements. That was a part of this formula that I got super excited about because, I've been studying it for decades now. And it's like, finally a product, with my name on it, that's got this in it. So I'm like, tell us more.
So during the alchemical process, what Paracelsus did was he actually created what he called monatomic elements, or orbitally restructured salts, basically. And how he did that was he would burn the plant at high temperature until it became an ash, and then it goes through a purification process, and then you collect the salts of the plant, which are really living. If you leave those salts on your desk for a year, they grow and they end up going to the side of your desk and growing all the way down to the floor. So there's multiple pictures you can see of alchemists that have done that, and you can see the living essence. I have an alchemical formula from like 10, 15 years ago. And if you turn the bottle upside down, there's crystals from the bottom of the bottle that are growing all the way through the bottle.
Wow.
So what that ormus is, what it really means is it's living, it's highly vibrational, and it has the ability to create or survive or transduce energy and vibrations into it. And so what we've been working on this for years, is to be able to create a proprietary blend of Ormus minerals or salts that we can add to the products, which would give it that essence, give it that life force, and it would, continually grow and continually become stronger and stronger and stronger. And so what we use for that is a combination of really very rare selection of probably over 80 to 90 different types of minerals, but not like you would get if you were to buy salt or anything like that. These have to go through the process of the air, fire, water, and ether. It's the quantum energy fields of taking something like an inorganic mineral and then breaking it down and then creating a highly vibrational, orbitally rearranged, structured organic mineral, which is alive again. So part of the Ormus mineral blend that's in there, one part of it takes 4 years to create. And it goes through all of the different elemental cycles, and it's a very concentrated form of mineral blend. So there's like 2 or 3 different things in there that we've added over the years to be able to really bring that living essence and that life into the formulas. So wow. It's amazing. And we have just set up the first quantum testing laboratories at our facility in Arizona, our manufacturing facility in Arizona. And Dr. Glenn Ryan, who is the number one quantum biologist in the world, he's about in his 70s now. He's been working with us for over a year to be able to quantify the life force and the vibrational energies of the products and the herbs that we use before we choose the ones that we're going to be putting in the product. So we actually have all of his patented quantum testing devices. We have advanced Kirlian photography devices. We have technology that was developed by Kornikov in Russia, the BioWell. He's one of the leading scientists in the world when it comes to quantum vibrational testing, because I feel the next generation of when you're looking at herbs and when you're looking at formulas is going to be to quantify the quantum energy fields that formula is producing inside your body. Going back to energy and vibration, just like Tesla, just like Einstein said, everything is in vibration and everything is in energy. So instead of killing off all the energy like most product companies do when they take it through the whole process, what we do is we infuse more energy into it, and we create an end product to where the energy is only going to get stronger. And if you look at the Myron glass studies in the videos, the way that the Myron glass is actually, it lets in light rays that actually enhance the vibrational frequency and the energy of the product over time as well.
Right, non-ultraviolet, exactly. And it's sort of like a neg-entropic process where it's building more structure, self-organizational structure. For those who may not be familiar with some of this, you can look at the work of Rudolf Haschka, who's an amazing alchemist, chemist from quite some time ago. And then there's others in the field that have been looking at this, like Dan Winter, who looks a lot at plasma physics. And then David Hudson, who discovered, this white gold. Some of his lectures from early on, just mind-blowing. So, there's some actual real science to this. And in fact, in my book, I covered the 200-year history of the observation that biotransmutation of elements is happening inside of us, all around us. So we don't have to go that far anymore to find alchemy, because it's right there at the heart of quantum biology. And, what you're doing is just so, pioneering. It's exciting. I hope too that in the future we can use some of this research and devices to assess the sort of before and after of those taking some of the products.
We do have that available right now. We've been working on it. So we are trying to develop a reproducible, quantifiable process. With quantum energy fields, it's very difficult because, thoughts can affect that, and many other things in the environment can affect, the quantum energy fields, and they're constantly changing all the time. So it's
Exactly.
extremely difficult. Dr. Ryan's been working on this for close to 50 years, and he has the highest technology. But we do have a device right now that we're working on, and we're getting really close to where we can read the quantum energy fields of somebody before they take the product, and we can read the fields after they take the product as well. So that's something that we still haven't, he's been working on it we've been working on this for probably close to 2 years now. And we're getting closer and closer to being able to have a system in place, like a step 1, step 2, step 3. And we're even looking at bringing in newer technologies and some other different types of lenses, which can actually read live your energy coming out of your fingertips. So very advanced, very exciting, energetic based technologies that we want to eventually move into and be able to show people, what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Well, the good news is that ultimately, the most advanced technology that we have is our own bodies. We've just not been taught about them, right? And if we can familiarize ourselves and just go ahead and experience the products and then develop a relationship with ourselves, we'll know, okay, I've had a quantum leap. I feel way better. My performance is better. My mind, that's what we're hoping for. So ultimately, and when it comes to the product, what do you say, like in terms of the actual recommendation on the bottle? Obviously check with your health practitioner, but 1 dropper full, 2 dropper fulls a day, what is the general recommendation that you would make?
Well, I'm like you. I always say, listen to your body and pay attention to your instincts, pay attention to your gut feeling. And I 100% agree with you. We've been led to think from birth and been taught to look outside of ourselves, but ultimately, our body is the perfect biochemical quantum healing mechanism that is just being restricted because of all the chemicals and toxins that we're being exposed to. I would say, this product is really, really safe. There's, you could even go up. Sometimes I go up to like 4 dropper fulls in the morning, 4 dropper fulls in the afternoon. If I'm feeling a little bit sluggish in the afternoon or whatever, or if I'm feeling a little stressed or anxiety, I'll take like 2 or 3 dropper fulls. However your body feels, you can, if you want a muscle test or if you want to use anything like that, you can do that as well. But 1 dropper full, I would say 2 times daily, like we have on the label, would be really good for maintenance or just, that stimulation, keeping your brain stimulated. But anyone could go up to, 4 dropper fulls twice a day if they wanted to really, have a good. You're going to get an effect just with what's on the label, but if you wanted to go a little bit more, like I like to go a little bit more sometimes, it's completely safe, and it's even safe for children to use over 3. I mean, honestly, it's probably even safe for children to use under that, but just because of the guidelines and the FDA restrictions and all that, and you're not really supposed to recommend supplements for kids under 12, which I think is ridiculous. But again, this is the energy, it's the vibration. Everything here is from the earth. It's completely vegan. It's non-GMO. It's certified organic. It's got the best of the best ingredients in it. So you can use it. You can use it for any age, really, I would recommend. But, I would say, like I said, sometimes I'll go up to 4 dropper fulls, once a day or twice a day.
Cool. Well, I love it. When I take it, it's like liquid sunshine, I feel like it's painting my insides with this light energy, and knowing all of the effort, the intention, the intelligence that went into it, drawing from very ancient traditions that are now being revived, and then some futuristic technology. It's the perfect example of what I feel good putting my name on. And I think you feel the same. So yeah, I'm very proud of it, Ed. I'm so honored too that you took the time, energy, resources to create it. And, Yeah, I just feel like people are going to have a really cool experience with it. So, I think that people out there, if you're excited about it, like we are, give it a try. Let us know, how you feel, like what comes up, like, how is it affecting you? And we love that kind of feedback. Any last words for people?
Well, my last words would be to just exactly what you said. I mean, we're coming into some trying times, which are actually good, to just always stay in a state of hope and a state of love. Be in your love bubble, spend time with yourself, detoxify yourself, detoxify your environment, learn more about how you can improve not only yourself, but your relationships, balance out everything in your life as best as possible. Pay attention to yourself and try to grow in a positive way, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And try the brain health. I think you'll be satisfied with it. You'll fall in love with it. You'll feel better. You'll feel more attuned with yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Beautiful. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the product.